Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do some reactions for you, just some TikTok reactions, but oh gosh, these people are so insane. Seriously. So these ones I'm going to react to because I find them to be, for myself, offensive. I do not believe these people are really, truly dysphoric. It's my opinion. It's what I believe. Being 32 years transition, I never saw people like this except in the cross dressing world. I've never seen men looking like this who believe they are actually women presenting themselves like this to the world. So I have a couple of those, and then I have one of a teacher just saying some insane stuff, and I'm just over it. I just that's it, really. So, with that, thank you again for liking and subscribing and joining my channel and helping me to bring these to you. So, I think laughing is good, whether or not some people think it is or not, that we're laughing at them. When you put stuff on the internet like this, you better be prepared for people to do some backlash, especially when it comes to the transsexual community. Many of us are starting to get really fed up. In fact, not starting, we are fed up with this stuff. And so we have to start to call it out. And that's why I really think these reaction videos are on some level important, so that you out there who are not part of the transsexual community can see that, yes, your feelings towards these people are correct. They are doing something else. So with that, again, thanks for liking and subscribing and doing all those things to help this channel really grow. So I'm going to react to this first one here. This one I'm blown away by. I really am blown away by it. So let's just see if we can get this guy going here.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to hop on here and address some really ignorant comments that I'm seeing. There's people saying, oh, you're not a woman, oh, you're not trans, oh, you're a guy, you're not a guy. Not everybody fits perfectly into tiny little boxes. I know society loves to oversimplify things, loves putting people in boxes with labels. We don't all fit. Some of us are on different parts of the spectrum, and that's okay.
Is that so? Is that so, my friend? So, with that, do you think this person is making an effort to look like a woman? Do you really? Because I don't. This person in no way, shape, or form is making any effort for you as the person out there to see them as a woman. That's what a transsexual woman does. She makes an example, Blair White. Okay, come on, we're going to use Blair White as an example. I have many other friends like Blair White, but Blair White is a great example. She would never go out of the house looking like this, and she deserves to be called she because she makes an effort. I do not believe this person has gender dysphoria. There is no way they're presenting male. You think putting a little yellow tank tube top on with little boobies, I don't even think those are real. I think those are stuffed, or they're just your pecs, or they're just man boobs. So, this is the stuff we have to call out, and I'm going to call it out whether you like it or not. And no one thinks you're a woman, dude. No one thinks you're a woman. No one's going to respect you as a woman, and you're not a woman. Okay, you're a man who thinks they're a woman, possibly, but I don't even think that. I do not think that you think that. I think that you are on some level doing this as pushback. I really think you are not trans. I really think you're doing it to show something, okay? I think that you see what's happening in this community and you are exposing it in a way. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe you really do think you're trans, but I have a hard time believing it, as do many other people, not only in the transsexual community, but outside in the world. So when you do stuff like this, no respect from the rest of the world. Let's move on to this next one here that I have.
So I just got home from work, and today, for the first time, I dressed fully feminine in public, in the broad light of day. It was to a luncheon at my work with the board of directors of the theater company I work for. I wore my lemon dress and my keffiyeh. And it, in the grand scheme of things, might seem like a small victory, but you gotta let yourself celebrate your small victories. Because there's a lot of times when those big ones feel really few and far between. And right now, for me, every little victory I get is one more step that I have taken towards being fully myself, towards not hiding who I am any longer. And that feels like something to celebrate to me.
Who are you? What are you trying to show the world? When you show up with another one exactly like the first one, hairy chest and body, facial hair, full on man in a dress. No way is anybody respecting you. Now, that being said, okay, I think I repeat this constantly. I really don't have any issues with somebody cross dressing. That is your own space. It is some fetish that makes you feel happy about yourself. God bless you, my friend. But when you take that to the rest of the world and you force people to see you in your fetish, that is non-consensual, my friend. You're not asking other people. People don't want to participate in your little fetish. They don't. And they don't have to do that. They do not have to do that, okay? That's a fetish. And shame on you for showing up into a company. I think you said you showed up to a company dinner or something dressed like that. And you're so proud of yourself. What about everybody else who's uncomfortable with you, who doesn't feel okay with that? Okay, really? Are you kidding me? You're not making any effort to be a woman in any way, shape, or form. Again, calling you out. You're not. You're a crossdresser. It's a fetish, and you're not trans. There, I said it. So this last one, I'm so tired of these teachers. These are teachers of little teeny children throwing their ideology into the mix.
My name's Teacher Green, and something I like about my classroom is that my students built the trans flag last year. We had the pleasure of reading a book called Melissa about a transgender fourth grade girl, and it was very impactful for all of us. Afterwards, we built the trans flag using the shapes of our hands, blue, pink, and white paint, and of course glue.
Fourth grade. 4. Melissa, a book about a fourth grade trans. What? Why? Just why? This is why people don't. I am a transsexual. I'm telling you, no, that's full on indoctrination. We made the trans flag. Trans. Of course, kids want to be trans. I keep saying it. Of course they want to be trans. You're getting all kinds of accolades from the teacher to people on the internet. It's cool if you're trans. Like, it's so sick. It's actually sick. That's pure indoctrination. That should never be allowed in the school system. Those books should not be allowed. You can read those books to your kids if you want at home in your private life and all that. None of those books should be allowed in the school system. Okay? Kids are not LGBTQIA pee poo poo. They're not. They're kids. Leave it out of the school system. Please, I'm begging you. You are destroying what we have built as an adults. You are destroying it, and it's coming for us next. Thanks, everybody. I sure wish I could have been a bit more happy and laughing, but I can't help myself. It just starts to parlay into like frustration and anger because I just see the acceptance of us just out the window. Look at this Pride year. It's a total joke. Anyway, my friends, thanks again. I super appreciate you, and I'll see you guys all on the next one. Hey, everyone. I caught myself unbelievable person today. I'm fangirling.
Stop
I
it.
totally
Stop
am.
it.
I'm blushing right now.
If you could see, like, I am melting right now with like, oh my gosh, is this real?
So with that, I really want to thank everybody for watching the channel and subscribing and liking and pushing these. Yeah, I cannot get these amazing guests without all of you, helping this channel really grow, and it's growing tremendously. And I feel so proud of it, and all of us in this community really building a platform to bring people with, these important stories, as well as people in the trans community who mean a lot to me and have different opinions. And you can see that there is just a difference going on here. So with that, I have the beautiful, amazing Alexis Blake, and
Hi.
oh my God.
Do you know what? This is so surreal. Like when you emailed me, I'm like
I literally said to my fiance Liam, I was like, Liam, look who emailed me. And he's like,
Awesome.
no way. Thank you so much for having me on your channel, and you're doing some amazing work, and I love watching your content. And I think it's so important to have the juxtaposition of some of the crazy stuff going on with the trans community, and just to have some like grounded people like yourself and
Right on.
Blair, and just to
Yeah.
spread a different message, and just to show that we're not all the same. So thank you.
We're not. So thank you. And Blair's one of my great friends. I love Blair so much. She's awesome and beautiful, and she does a lot of. It's because of her that I'm actually doing this. It really
I
is.
love
I would
that.
have walked away a million years ago. I'm 62. I'm like, I can't get involved in this nonsense.
Really?
I'm 62.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
So, but that being said, you being a newer YouTuber and you adding your voice, I'm pretty sure Blair appreciates you as well. She's that
Oh.
generous of a person. And so with that, I just want to bring you on because I want to hear a little bit more about your story and how you sort of became who you are and how you transitioned. But we don't, and also then I want to move into more of your channel and why you started the channel. So if we could maybe start a little bit with your background, I think people would be very interested in that.
Yeah, that's fine. Hi everyone. If you don't know me, my name's Alexis Blake. I am 30 years old. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm in a job interview. Um, so I started my transition 3 years ago. I'm almost done now. I know, time's flown. I came out as trans when I was 15. It wasn't the right time for me, and I just couldn't accept it about myself. So I pushed it right down, carried on living my life, had a dance career, met my fiance, and then it all bubbled out to the top, and I couldn't hide anymore. So I began my transition. The care in the UK is not great for trans people, so I did it privately. And yeah, it's just been a bit of a whirlwind, really.
Wow.
You don't realize what goes into transition until you start going with it. There's so much like surgeries, the laser, there's so much, the voice, the name, the documents, like it's wild. But I've been very, very lucky to have my fiance Liam support me and my family. So I know I'm so lucky compared to so many trans women and trans men. So yeah,
you are.
It's just
I can't believe it's only been
crazy.
3 years that you transitioned. You look
know.
amazing.
Thank
Wow.
you.
See, I'm not
Thank you.
kidding. I'm not saying that like just because honestly, what I see is I can see people who put the work in. And I can see people who are making an effort to pass, which, again, I can tell everybody I transitioned 32 years ago. I have a lot of experience around this. I made an effort to look like a man. Now, today, there's this weird pushback on passing. And I really cannot connect with that because look at you. Nobody would ever know that
Thank
you.
you.
No,
Thank you.
but you put the work in.
It blows my mind. Like, you remember the Planet Fitness whole crazy thing? And when I saw that, and it was just a man, short hair, shaving his beard in the mirror in a female locker room, it like the thing that shocked me the most, I was just like, if you are a genuine trans woman, you would be mortified at the thought of anyone noticing you as being trans. But to shave a beard, which is such a masculine thing to do, like I used to go into the bathrooms at work, the little single cubicles, and shave like twice a day because I didn't want anyone to see any stubble or shadow. So that's where I really can't, like, I can't connect with them on a human level, because I'm like, that's not what trans is to me. Transition to me is to try and blend in and as the opposite genders to what you were born as. And it just blows my mind when I see things like that. I'm like, why?
Yeah, why is a great question, and thank you for saying that because I can say that, but I'm not a trans woman, so I have a different space in this. And men don't feel threatened by me. I've lived this way for a long time. I've navigated the male world. Men don't tend to care if you're a woman becoming a man. They kind of think it's cool on some level. It's not, but it's opposite in your space. And you I'm sure you know that women do have issues with a trans woman looking like me. They literally look like me.
I completely understand that though, because if okay, I'll try to say it as nice as possible.
Don't
but
worry
if you're not
about
going to
it.
put any effort in to transition, if you're going to have a beard and a receding hairline and not show any semblance of transition, you are just looking like a man. You can't expect to walk into a female space and be warmly greeted. Because the thing is, and I say this a lot, and I think it sometimes bugs people when I say it, but as trans women, we don't have those spaces weren't made for us. We are guests in those spaces. Women allow us into those spaces, and it's not me like pandering to anyone or anything like that, but I those spaces were built to keep women and girls safe. So us going into them, it's kind of us being like, "Hi, can I use this space, please?" That's why when I first started my transition, I obviously came out and like Liam started calling me Alexis, but that was it for a while. I didn't start using the female bathroom straight away. Absolutely not, because I know how uncomfortable it would have made people in there, women in there, to see a man walking in, which in turn would have made me feel uncomfortable. So I waited until I started hormones. I waited until I was wearing makeup and wigs and clothes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I passed. You could still tell I was a trans woman, but I think just women seeing, that's a trans woman. That's not
right.
a man. And I think that maybe put them at ease a bit more.
Well, I mean, I just have to say thank you. And I'm going to say thank you for all the women who watch this channel, because I'm telling you right now, they're going to thank you for saying that. That's all they're saying. That's all they're
Yeah.
saying. They're
Yeah.
saying respect our space, which you do, which Blair White does, with all my trans women friends do. They would never. That's how I could tell you they're not real. And I hate using real. Okay. I'm going to use the word transsexual. I hope it doesn't offend
Yeah.
you.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Excellent. So transsexuals want to look like men and women. We do not want to make a problem. I waited until I was enough that guys wouldn't have too much of it, or it made me uncomfortable. It makes me,
Yeah.
doesn't it make you uncomfortable to walk into a space where people are staring at you like you don't belong here?
Yeah, literally. And I can't understand like the confidence you must have. And it's almost kind of selfish to me to walk into that space where
Yes.
there's a 4-year-old girl with a mum and to clearly see she's shocked and a bit scared.
Yes.
Why would you do that? I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because if you think of the population of trans men and women, actual trans men and women across the world, it's only a tiny small percent of trans women that are men with a beard and no makeup and not presenting feminine. And they're going into these female spaces and causing this controversy, which then paints us all in that same light. And we're not all in that same light. And it's so infuriating. I think that's kind of why my channel began and why I started doing this, because I was just getting so sick of being made to look a certain way. And I'm like, that's not how all trans people are.
It's not. And also, I think really what's important for your channel is that there's a lot of trans women YouTubers, and they
Yeah.
all are completely opposite of the way you think. They also don't necessarily want to pass. They also think that they're entitled to women's spaces. They come to this with an entitlement, right? And
That's misogyny though, isn't it? Let's be real.
excellent.
That's what that is. It's
Excellent.
just male privilege.
Yep. Thank you for saying that again. It helps my argument because I argue with them all the time, and I'm a biological female. I'm 62. I transitioned 32 years ago. I've literally lived half my life as a woman and half my life as a man. I
It's
get
so
to see,
wild hearing you say that. Sorry to jump in. It's just so wild to me. Like I'm like, ooh.
but I mean that's a compliment, as you know. But that being said, I have a perspective on things that very few people in this world have. Not to say I'm better than or any of that, but what I'm trying to say is I lived in the female space, okay? So I can actually relate to women in a way that possibly you can, or other but they tend not to have the same compassion you
Well,
have.
are they really trans then? Because I think
Mm,
if you are really trans, you can empathize with the female experience. And don't get me wrong,
right.
I am a biological man. I will say that until my dying breath. It bugs when people forget science is real. It's a thing. I spent 27 years as a man. I grew up as a boy, and that's my life experience. So that's what I can draw from. But of
Yes.
course, when you transition, like some of my experiences now cross over with women's. But
Right.
like going back to what we were saying about these entitled trans women just demanding to use female spaces and to be able to play sports, like the whole Leah Thomas thing. It's so frustrating to me because I'm just like, take a step back and look at the situations going on,
Mhm.
talking to these individuals.
Yes.
And how do they not realize that they're in the wrong? It's like they're so like blindsided to not
Mhm.
realize they're doing anything wrong. And I can't understand it.
I won't believe that they don't know that. There's no way that they're not
Do
idiot. I don't believe they're idiots. I
you
believe that
think?
they're misogynist, and I believe they're entitled, and I believe that they hate. I see. I feel like you don't hate women. I feel like they actually hate women, and they want to be a. That's why. So moving into that, there's this newer thing that has come up. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but it's sort of was pushed down. And there's this sort of idea that there's trans women who are called AGP,
Oh
right?
gosh, what's this? Do I even want to
Autogyneph.
know?
I'm so
Oh,
I just love you. You're so refreshing. You're like a
oh,
young person who has not been on the internet. That's what I love about you. It's so beautiful.
okay. Like, lay it on
it
me, lay it on me. I'm ready.
it's gonna kill you. It's a real thing. I really believe it, and I think prior to we got on board here, we were talking behind the scenes before we started recording, and I believe that a lot of the newer trans women are not transsexuals. I don't believe that
Hmm.
they have a disorder. I don't know how you feel about that, but I really believe that I have a disorder called gender
Yeah,
dysphoria.
absolutely. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So with that, I think that there's a group of people who have infiltrated into this space who are AGP, which is autogynephilia, which is more of a love of self. It's more of a cross dresser, a
Okay,
transvestite, somebody
okay.
who feels that they are sexually attracted to themselves as a woman. That's what an autogynephilia. It's
Right.
actually so I want to say something. There's nothing wrong with it, but
No, 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 no,
it's
no.
not the same
Oh, it's
as
absolutely not the same because there's when, and I'm not saying every trans woman has to do lots of different surgeries
of
and X,
course.
Y, Z, but there
Yeah.
has to be some semblance of a transition. And that's what trans is to me, I think. And it does rub people the wrong way when I say this about this trans umbrella.
Yeah.
I don't
Great
think it
point.
is an umbrella. I think you have transgender and then you have all these other different things around it, but it's different. And it's okay that it's different. It's fine
Yeah.
to be different. We're all
Totally.
makes the world more interesting. But I think a lot of stuff is being put under the same trans umbrella. And I think it dilutes the meaning of what it is to be transgender, which is to have a diagnosis by a medical practitioner that is
Great.
gender dysphoria.
Great.
And it's I just when I look at some like say someone who's non-binary who maybe changes their name and their appearance, if that makes you happy, I love that for you. But then when I'm put in the same picture frame and
Yeah.
we're called the same, I'm like it's not, it's different, and that's fine to be different. But I think it's
Right.
just being aware of those differences in our lives.
Why do you think? And it's going to just be a question. I'm not sure if any of us can even answer. But why do you think that they created an umbrella? We were doing just fine. That
I
trans
thought
people
so.
were. It, what happened? Why?
I don't
That's
know.
it.
I don't know. I think people always want to feel included, and I think because
Good point.
transgender is so popular at the moment, maybe for the last 5 to 10 years, it's sort of
Yes.
gained more and more popularity and trendiness.
Hmm.
Maybe it's been wanting to be in that trend, and maybe as non-binary, I know it's not a new terminology, but it's newer to everyone.
Yes.
A lot of people didn't know
Yeah.
about it. I think they're trying to explain what it is, so they're lumping it with trans, but oh, well, this is us too, and it does frustrate me a little bit because
Yeah.
it's just so different. Because if someone says they're trans but they don't transition, I'm like, well, you're not. I can't. That's how my brain works. I can't
Right.
compute that. It's not to me.
Well, it's not. And I say it all the
Yeah.
time. I mean, I don't care if I'm literally on board with you. We're in complete alignment. Go ahead and be whatever you want. Nobody cares. Remember, I've been around
Yeah.
for a long time. We fought back in the 80s for people to look to make sure. I mean, that's when we really got smashed in the face and people didn't. Today, I can tell you, I live perfectly fine as a transsexual man. I don't get people like me. The people who don't like me are the trans community, which should say everything. So, I
Mhm.
don't believe this. We don't have rights. I mean, but the non-binary thing is not trans. It is literally it's an identity choice,
Yeah. I
right?
agree. It's about your identity, and obviously they might have some sort of dysphoria with their
Maybe,
identity, which is
maybe.
fine. But that's different to having full gender dysphoria, which is where you are born as one sex and you feel like the other sex. And I
Yes.
always go with like how my I always say how it's how my brain is. I feel like I was born a boy with a female brain. And I know that sometimes upsets women when I say that, but it's the
It's
only way I
okay.
can kind of describe it.
That's right.
And it's like what was in here was always fighting with what was going on the outside,
That's
always
right.
in constant battle.
Yeah.
That's just the best way I can describe
Well,
it.
no,
But I
it's a
think that
great
is
way.
different
It's a great way to describe it. Whether or not somebody agrees with you or not, you're never going to get everyone to agree with you. That
now.
is ridiculous. It's
No,
just
I
not.
know.
We're trying to build bridges here, people, and we don't want you to hate us, and we want to join. We want to sit at the table with you, and we don't
Do you
want to
know?
talk
I
about it.
agree. I agree. Honestly, that I got this comment so early on. I started posting to TikTok. That's where my sort of platform began.
Yeah.
And I posted a video, and it was about the terminologies like chest feeder and womb carrier. And my female friend was getting so upset by it. She's
Mm,
like, I feel like my identity as a woman's been
yes.
taken away by trying to make everyone equal. And I
Yes.
made a video about it, and a
Great.
woman commented saying, Alexis, I know you're a trans woman. You can have a seat at our table, but do not take ours. And
Yes.
that to me, I was like, yes, that
Right
is
on.
it. So I think a lot of women are open to sharing the world with trans women, but just don't take their space, don't take their identity and have our own. And I think that's completely valid and fine because women are still to this day fighting to have their identity
A
equal.
hundred
It's a
percent.
whole other video to go into, but
No, it's
I think that's the thing. It's just a man in a wig coming for them, and that's what it
it's
feels like to them
disgusting.
sometimes.
No,
Mhm.
but this is so important, and I really do appreciate you having this conversation because, like I said earlier, I can keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. But when an actual, real transsexual woman has so much respect, I mean, I can feel your respect for women, and it makes me love you even more because
Oh, thank
no, I'm not
you.
kidding. Because this is what we need people to see. Those people who are representing us are not representing us, and we don't feel that way, and many trans people feel like you and I do, but they're not in a position to say
To
what you and I.
vocalize it.
They're
Yeah.
not. They're not.
I
And
agree. I think it comes from just like I was raised by my mom and I have a sister. They're both strong minded, strong, independent, like
great.
kick ass women. And I think because of those women, I grew up having so much respect for them, seeing what life threw at them. They always got
Yes.
up and carried on and fought.
Yes.
And I think that's where it came from for me. And that's the kind of trans woman. I never say I'm a woman because I'm not. I'm a trans woman. It's
Right
different,
on.
and that's fine. But that's the kind of person I want to be because I love and respect them so much. I guess.
Well, no, I mean it literally shows through, and that's why I'm going to go back to a different type of trans woman that has come into this picture. And if you notice, it's mostly trans women who are causing the problems. And if you
I
notice, it's
know.
mostly a conversation about women language, women sports. How come there's nothing happening on the male side?
Trans men just transition and get on with it, and then just don't cause any problems. And it's bizarre. Like why? I think. I don't even know. I actually don't know why all the problems are coming from the trans women. I think,
Mhm.
like we were speaking about earlier, I think it comes from misogyny.
Yeah.
I think that if you are entitled, you're born as an entitled male with misogyny.
Yes.
Even with transition, there was points where I had to check myself, and I'm like, was that a little bit misogynistic, Alexis? I think we need to tone that down. And it's trying to like check our own behavior. But I think some of these trans women, and I'm air quoting there,
Yes.
and they don't lose that misogyny, it stays with them. And I think that's a clear difference between valid trans women and then the ones who just put on a lipstick, don't make any effort to change anything else, not the name, not hormones, nothing, and expect to be treated as equal as women. I'm like, you
What?
can't walk into a female space
No.
without transitioning. Like, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm going to go back to AGP, and I'm going to go back
Yeah.
to fetishists, and I'm going to go back to. I have a history of working in the fetish world. I was married to a female dominatrix. I was in that
Wow.
whole space for many years, and it's an adult space. It has nothing to do with
Yeah.
So that being said, I was around a lot of fetishist people, and I was around a lot of cross dressers. Okay,
Hmm.
so I have firsthand a sight when I see them come in to this space. Nobody uses the word crossdresser anymore. Nobody uses transvestite. If you notice, they're all trans now.
Yeah.
And I think what happened was Pandora's box was opened on some level. And what you said earlier, the umbrella. So anyone can be trans without a diagnosis, without going through a system. Liam could identify as a trans woman.
Mhm. It says it's sometimes seeming like you can hop online and be like, I now identify as a woman,
That's
and
right.
people have to respect that. And I think respect is earned. It shouldn't be an automatic thing, especially when it comes to using women's spaces and being in the world of women,
Yeah.
which I never fully will be because I wasn't born as one. I didn't have those experiences growing up.
Mhm.
But it's just so easy now. And that's one thing that's wild to me. Like, I don't know, what's this guy's name? He was on The Bachelor. He's getting really, sorry. I said he,
I
her
know
name,
you're
their
talking.
name.
I
Yeah.
don't know his name. Who cares? He's a
I'm
wingnut.
I'm pretty sure that person is trolling trans women. I don't think that's legit because
No,
they're just going on camera with a bit of
no,
lipstick and a
that's
woman's
right.
top saying, I'm just going to use the women's space. And I got shouted. And I'm just
That's
horrified.
right.
Like, if this is real, oh my gosh, this person needs
It's
help.
not.
And if this is not
It's not.
real, this is horrifying for our community.
Well, and I'm going to call him he because I'm
Mhm.
not going to respect him. He's totally trolling, and he's getting away with it because
Mhm.
of the disingenuous trans community who said anyone knows who they are, even a 5-year-old knows they're trans. The disingenuous insanity that they have
Yeah.
created is now destroying. Do you know that it's actually destroying this community? That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
people don't like us anymore, and that's why
Yeah.
people put me and you into that saying,
Box.
"Oh my God, no,
Yeah. Which is
it
wild.
it
It's so unfair. It's so frustrating because I feel like the trans community, we were slowly like people like these are just people. This is great. We were
that's
going
right.
forward, and I don't know. Obviously, I live in the UK, so I
Yeah.
think it might be a little bit different to America. But it felt like it was getting to a point where we were just allowed to exist, and that's
Yes.
great. But then for some reason, this last 5 years, we started to like go backwards, and I genuinely think in my lifetime, I'm going to start to see trans rights be stripped through the law and
That's
taken
right.
away. And that's like the current prime minister we have in the UK.
Mhm.
Said trans women do not have a right to be in a female space and
Mhm.
they're coming after us. And people don't realize they start with trans people, but they're just going to work the way around everyone else.
I know. That's right. People don't that is the huge that's the problem right there. They don't see what the damage they're doing. And they also I always like to say
Hmm.
this, people tend to see the glass half empty instead of the
Hmm.
glass half full. They're not looking at what we have. Try looking from back in the 80s, back in the 70s, back in the even back 10 years ago. They're not seeing how we actually have progressed. It's why I'm telling you these people are not truly trans people. They don't necessarily care about our rights. It's something that is very scary for me and very
Mm.
sad. I'm 62. I'm pretty done with my transition. I'm pretty much living my life. I have a beautiful, amazing family life. I have nothing to
Oh.
complain about. I don't think any of this is going to affect my life. But what I see is you. Okay. And what I see is the younger generation. And I didn't do all this. I wasn't a guinea pig so that now you have to go through the same crap I went through. I won't stand for that. So I do stand as your grandpa or as your elder. It is my job
I
on
love
some
that.
it's true. It's my job to say, hey, wait a minute. There are young people who literally suffered the way I did, who will suffer again, which is so
Hmm.
it's like I guess I could put in the analogy of gay rights or even
Hmm.
women's rights. I fought for women's rights to be able to I didn't do the voting stuff, but I did a lot of things where women started to be able to have more ways, especially gay women. We weren't
Hmm.
allowed in certain spaces and weren't allowed to do things. So now I'm seeing it go backwards because men, now we have to
Hmm.
be really honest about it. Those trans women are men
I
who are
agree. Yeah.
trying to
I just think, do they not realize like there's so many content creators on different platforms doing really controversial things? As one example, Dylan
yes.
Mulvaney, Days of
Oh.
Girlhood. Just a little, we'll just brush on it very lightly.
Uh,
I don't know how that individual, how could she could not realize how damaging that action, that song would be to the trans community
that's
because
right.
it's mocking women, it's doing
That's right.
women face. And when we're on such a verge of people like, do we like trans people? Do we understand them? We can't empathize with them. Are they all bad people? And then it's
Yeah.
just like, how can you not realize that that is damaging the community for all of us? And it's just so selfish, I think, for so many of them to sit there and scream and shout and I got misgendered, everyone should respect me, screaming. I'm like, that's not helping us, that's going backwards.
Yes. Well, in my opinion, I don't think Dylan is actually a trans person. I think
I've
Dylan
seen
got sucked up into the internet and TikTok and became a millions of trillions of, just the little bit of follows I have, it does feel nice when people like watch you and say things nice to you. But if you don't ground yourself and you don't humble yourself, you can easily get caught up into it and it can take over. Everyone has ego, but if you don't understand
Yeah.
how dangerous the ego is and you don't understand, and that comes from age and growth, because I'm not going to say that I never had a big ego. Of course I did. We all kind of have to go through that on some level. But that being said, but we have bigger things now. We have social media. I didn't have that growing up, and
I think
right?
in some ways it's good. Like I'm kind of glad that I didn't have to grow up as a trans woman through my teens and have all this going
Yes.
around. Like I had to
Yes.
figure it out on my own. It took me
Yes.
longer to get there, but it meant when I did transition, I was doing it all for the right reasons. It was all for me to help
Yes.
my gender dysphoria, and it was just to make my life livable. It wasn't to please anyone. It wasn't to join a trend. It wasn't to be
That's right.
cool. And it worries me that I think sometimes with the social media stuff, especially the more outrageous people we see, I'm like, people are seeing this. Like, what if this is
That's right.
impressing on younger people? And you
No,
just
they
never know, do
are.
you? Mm.
That's the thing that is upsetting to me, because Dylan knows. I will not believe that Dylan doesn't know what they're doing. Dylan is just riding the wave of all the money, all the fame. That's exactly
Hmm.
right. Which, I live in Hollywood, friend. I'm around it. My partner works in Hollywood. I know a lot about this industry and a lot about how it can really just feed your ego. And then once that
Hmm.
happens, everything else is out the door, because all
Mm.
you care about is that you're famous now. And
And keep going with it and doing whatever you need to do to stay up there.
doesn't
Absolutely.
care about this community, because I'll tell you right now, I already see the Dylan thing sliding. I already see Dylan not so famous anymore,
You
because
think?
yeah, I already see it, and I'll tell you why I see it. Because once you get into a platform that big and that high from a community that pushes you up, because that's what's happening. The trans non-binary community is pushing Dylan up. Once Dylan doesn't do what that community wants you to do, guess what happens?
You're
They will
out.
start to pull you, because Dylan didn't get involved in the, and we're not going to get involved in this, but I'm just going to say it, the Israeli Palestine conflict.
Hmm.
She didn't get involved in it, and they got mad at her
Because,
and
yeah.
lost a lot of followers because of it.
Maybe it's, I don't know, it's just something I noticed, like with the video and stuff. And I actually did a video about it, and she messaged me apologizing. I'm like, it's too late. Like,
Yeah,
what good
that's
is a
right.
sorry now? You've put it out there. It's been seen by millions of people. Millions of women have saw this and thought, is this what Dylan thinks we are? Is this what trans women think we are?
That's
Popping
right.
pills and shopping and sleeping
Oh
around, which
my
don't get me
God.
wrong, there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But to be a trans woman, we're trying to emulate women and what we
That's
see a
right.
woman to be. And if that's what
Yes.
you see a woman is, then that you might need to reassess, Dylan.
Because Dylan got pushed into it. I'm telling you, Dylan is surrounded by people. There is no way, shape, or form that Dylan is not doing that all on their own. They have a
Mm.
whole team of people, and they got connected to all these people who are feeding her ego and feeding, oh, do this, do that, and that's it. And it is a misrepresentation. I've been around trans women for a long, long time. That is not how they live.
Yeah.
That is, they're not popping pills and death. Maybe some go and do that, but it's actually a misrepresentation of trans women as well. Like, what are you talking about? So
I find it so interesting that you have so much knowledge and experience through your life, like to be
yes,
around in the 80s and through the whole
yes.
HIV.
Oh my God.
It's wild to me. Like you have, like, I just could listen to you talk all day about like the history of
Thank
the
you.
community.
Well, it's important that, I really do appreciate you hearing me as an elder and understanding that I'm only here to help you have a better life, because I'm not going to be here forever. And I think for the elders who have been pushed out of this community, I'm not the only elder, there's many of us, but I tend to be the one who's like, go fuck yourself. I'm not
I
going
love
any.
that. I love that though. I love that you say it as it is. Like I think Blair's the same as well. And I think it's the British in me that's a little
That's
bit different. And like you guys just like straight to it. I'm like, oh, oh gosh, they went there.
yeah,
They went
because
there.
because if we don't stand up for our own self, right? If you
Absolutely,
don't put
yeah.
your air mask on first, how do you help other
Yeah.
people? It's an actual real kind of thing. And I think you and I, well, my own observation of you, we care. We care
I
about the
do. I care
generation.
so much about like
Yes.
the community as a whole, and because the thing is, you care even more when it directly is really affecting your life. And I can
Yes.
see the future coming. I think in America and in the UK, like trans people are gonna lose their rights. We're
Oh my
gonna
God.
lose.
Yeah.
Like I can just so see
Yeah.
it coming.
Yeah.
And these, if these people were genuinely trans, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
No.
And it must be so frustrating to be, as you call yourself, a trans elder,
Yeah.
to have this life experience, to have fought for LGBT rights, to
Yes.
then just watch this new generation storm in, screaming and shouting and kicking, demanding more, to then just watch those rights start to drop down. It must be so frustrating.
It's heartbreaking.
Is it?
More than, I lost a lot of my friends during the AIDS epidemic, and I hadn't transitioned yet, but I was a big old butch bull dyke, right? But that being said, I lost a lot of amazing men who today would have been huge, like hairdressers and choreographers
Stars.
and writers and singers and all of those beautiful things. And I lost them all to something that today people just flippantly just are like whatever, or don't
It
even want to talk
happened.
about, yeah, or it
Mm.
happened, or it's still happening because people don't want to have those discussions. And so when I see trans women with beards and going in, locker rooms and showing their penises, I'm like, come on, man. There is
But
no
that's not a
way.
trans woman, though. That's not a trans woman, is it? That's something
No,
else entirely. And I
entirely.
hope that the world, people who can see this, can see that's not an actual trans woman. That this is just some bizarre man doing some awful, grotesque stuff, I guess.
But they don't. Here's where the
I
problem
know. I think I have so
lies.
much faith in people.
Well, the problem is that you have to also understand people go by visuals, right? Or they
Well,
go
yeah,
by what
absolutely,
they
yeah.
see. So if you and I aren't at the forefront, right, of this, whatever's happening, but they are, then they're going to think all trans women have a beard and
And
flinging
do
their
that.
penis around. That's what they
Hmm.
think.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like with the Planet Fitness, going back to that,
Yeah.
I was so angry. And I'm a trans woman, and
Yeah.
I understand like about shaving and having to hide the facial hair and putting makeup on and wanting to feel comfortable in the space that I'm in. But I was
Yeah.
so angry at that because it was just so disrespectful. And that's what it comes down to. It's about
Yeah.
having respect for
Thank you.
women when you're considering using these spaces. It's trying to think, how are they going to feel if
Mhm.
I'm a 6 foot man with a beard and no makeup, no semblance of femininity at all?
Yeah.
It's going to make them uncomfortable. So I think people should reassess what they're doing. But some people just don't care, apparently, do
Well,
they?
they don't, because it's not their concern. You and I are not their concern. Their
Yeah.
concern is, first off, I think it's a narcissistic space.
Hmm.
Secondly, I think they think they're disrupting. They're disrupting this idea that you can be a man can look like this and a woman can look like this, and biology isn't real. And
It's very real. I'm a biological man, and I will never stop saying that. And it's
right
fine
on.
though, because people are like, Alexis, why do you always say that? I'm like, because it's my truth. I lived 27 years as a boy
Great.
into a man. That's how I know life, and that's what I experience. And then these some trans women just saying that I'm a woman now, but they've still got a beard. I'm like, the thing is, as human beings, we're so, like you said earlier, we're visual
Yes.
creatures. What we see, like I read a statistic and it stuck with me, and it takes the brain like 0.03 seconds to gender someone.
Mhm.
It's just what we do as human beings. So we're walking down the street and you're going man, woman.
Yeah.
And if you were a genuine trans woman, you would want those receptors from people to see woman.
Yes.
So if I can't understand how you would want to be trans but not transition and be seen as that gender, if that makes sense.
Because they don't have gender dysphoria, I think,
Well,
number
yeah,
one. Number
yeah,
two, they're trying to create a new category of trans, right? I don't think either of us want people to even know we're trans outside of our work here. If we're
yeah.
just walking to the grocery or to the street, or
Absolutely
we just want
agree.
people to see us as Mrs. or Miss and Mr. And
Hmm.
when someone calls me Mr., I feel like so happy.
I completely agree. It's because the thing is, it reaffirms your who we are, that.
Yes.
And to not want that, I struggle to understand that. I think that's, I really
Yeah.
struggle to connect with, like, you're saying you're trans and you want to be seen as a woman, but you're not making any effort to show that aspect of yourself. That's what I can't comprehend, because like it's awful. I'm sure obviously wait years and years ago when you started to transition and you
Mhm.
got misgendered, it makes you feel
Yeah,
crap. But
it
I just don't
does.
understand how they don't want to be seen as.
Because
Oh,
they just don't. They don't want to do what we do. They
I
call what
think they
we
like the attention, though. I genuinely
100%.
think, I think the
Yeah.
attention they get, even though
Yeah.
it's negative, and I was talking to Liam about this the other day,
Oh,
and these crazy, like, loud people on social media
yes.
screaming, and like Lily Tino, another TikToker, hmm um,
Mm,
on their videos. If you go on the comment sections, it's vile. People
yeah.
are vile towards
Yes.
them, which I don't condone, but
No.
I understand why people are mad.
Yeah.
But then I just think any attention to them is good attention. It's like you said, the narcissism in them. It's them needing people to know who they are and feeling relevant and important, even if it's bad attention.
Well, I'm going to tell you also, it's a fetish because, again, I'm going to go back to my time in the fetish world, okay? And I can tell you, people would come to see a dominatrix to have negative things said to them, like, you're a piece of shit, you're a loser, and they would get off on it. So I'm telling you, it
Really?
is part of this sort of fetishy thing. When people are pointing fingers at you, it turns them on in this weird way. And it's a real thing, but we're not talking about that. So Lily is a fetishist. Lily is
You
not a
think?
trans. A
I
hundred
would never
percent.
have thought about it like
A
that.
100% a fetishist is totally getting off on people being negative to them, because why would they go to those restaurants and set up a camera and everyone's negative? They're getting off on it, and then
Yeah.
I'm seeing it all. It's all going to come to light. It might not come to light in a year or 2 years, but you watch. You're going to be like, oh, Trampa was totally right.
I love that so much. Trap Heart's amazing.
you know,
It's the best thing ever.
One thing that comes with age on some level is wisdom and lived
It does.
experience. And when I have all of this lived experience, and I can tell you, you guys keep going right ahead and doing your shit, because I'm going to tell you, you're all going to be called out later on. But the
Hmm.
problem is, if none of us were getting hurt from it, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you cut your arms or your legs off and you are a beach ball. You go right ahead and bounce down the
Live
street,
your
buddy.
live
No
your
one
life.
cares.
Love
But
that analogy.
children,
Hmm.
friend. I don't know how you feel about trans kids, but let me say to you, I don't. I do not believe in trans kids. I do not believe kids should be put in this space. I think kids need to grow up, go through puberty, figure out, maybe stumble and fall and do things, scrape their knees. Then they can make these lifelong.
Informed adult decisions.
Yes.
So I think earlier on in my transition, I used to wish so much that I'd started younger, because of being a
Sure.
trans woman, I'm 5'10". I have
Mhm.
male hands and feet, and those are things that I cannot change with
Right.
surgery. So part of me always was like, oh, I just wish I'd started younger and maybe I would not have those problems.
Mhm.
But, hit a big but. I think there's so many, with social media especially, I think kids are very impressionable.
Mhm.
And if you're seeing the same thing again and again, it can leave an impression on you. Don't get me wrong, I think kids can know that they have gender dysphoria and that they're
Sure.
trans, but
Sure.
I think there's a lot more research coming out now about puberty blockers not being good for them. I think we're understanding it more and more now, and
Mhm.
now there's more like scientific research into it, that,
Mhm.
oh, hey, this kid's growing, maybe it's not the best thing for them.
Mhm.
It's a really delicate situation, and I
Mhm.
could never say, because I'm not a parent,
Mhm.
and I don't know how I would handle it. If
Okay.
it's a hard one, because I'm not saying I agree with it, because I don't really,
Oh,
but
oh
at the
no,
end
I
of the
get
day,
it.
it's the parents' sort of choices, I guess. But even then, I'm like, what if they go through this crazy alteration with their body and they realize one day it was just a phase? And that's a scary thing for me. Like my mum said to me when I was 15, she's like, I'm worried it's a phase. I'm worried you're going to do this and it's
Yes.
it's going to be wrong. And
Yes.
then you've done it and you might have damaged your body. You might have grown
Yeah.
parts of your body and had
Yeah.
things taken away that you can't undo. And I respect her so. At the time, I couldn't understand it, but I respect her
That's
so
right.
much for that, because I was a kid and she was making me aware that it very well could have been for me. It wasn't a phase, but I'm glad
Right.
she made me stop and think. Just have a really good think about this, because this is you're changing everything about yourself. And people don't realize that when you transition, like your whole life and the way you live and everything is completely changed. So to do that young, I agree. It's not the best, but like I said, it's such a hard one. It's always going to be a touchy conversation to have, and I think it's always going to rub people the wrong way, and everyone's opinions are
Yes.
going to be so different. But I
Yes.
think getting an 11-year-old with minimal diagnosis, throwing them on hormones, absolutely not. I think waiting maybe till the older teens, but again, it's so hard to say, and I'm sorry if that people don't like that.
Oh,
But
people aren't gonna look, you are entitled to your opinion, especially as a transsexual, and especially somebody who's lived it and saying as a child. Now, I'm gonna say maybe a little bit opposite. I respect that you say that. I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. Also, coming from a trans woman, because
yeah,
trans women, I think we have to be honest here. You have a lot more things to do to sort of pass, if that makes sense, right? And
yeah.
like you just said, your hands. Well, I freak out on my hands all the time. I have little hands. People are like, dude, you have man hands. Or my feet. I call them lady feet. I'm like, I have lady feet. I wear my shoes a size bigger because
Do
I
you
think
really?
totally.
I wish I could wear smaller blooming shoes. Honestly, it's just yeah. It's I think it's because I'm drawing from my own
That's
experience and
right.
the things
That's
that
right.
get me clocked. And like if I'd have
Yes.
started in puberty, this wouldn't be here, and I'm gonna have to have a surgery to remove that, and my hands would be smaller, and maybe I wouldn't be 5'10". But then at the same time, that we don't fully know what is happening to children's bodies when they take these hormones.
That's
So
right.
I think letting them express themselves and letting kids be kids and just
Yep.
play and have fun, that's the most important thing. But it also
Agreed.
raises a question like, why do these kids, like, you'll see kids on social media. I saw a girl on a documentary, she was 10 and she knew she was non binary. I didn't know anything about myself at 10. How can you know with such certainty your identity? And that's the thing. What if they do it and it's wrong?
That's
And
right.
then they're like, you're infertile. As soon as you, as you know, when you
That's
start taking
right.
hormone replacement therapy, there's a strong chance it makes you sterile. And to remove that chance, especially from a little girl,
I
if
know.
she'll never be able to have kids. And
Yep.
I get why people are worried, and I get why people don't agree with it. I completely understand. But I think
Yeah.
the tiny part of me that I have issues now, still lots of dysphoria from certain things. I think that's where I'm like, I wish I had for me, but for other people and
Yep.
other families and other
Yep.
children, it's down to the laws that we have in, and it's down to the parents who are
Yep.
raising them. And I think that's the most important thing. But yeah,
No, I think everything you say, I'm totally in agreement with you. But one of the things I want people to understand, especially if a trans person, a younger one, is watching this right now, trans doesn't mean you get everything you want, and
oh
that's
my
why
gosh, no.
it's a very difficult space to be in. And you have to understand you're going to get things, but you're also not going to get things. Okay,
Yeah,
everything is not going to happen for you, and
it
it's
doesn't get
why
rid of dysphoria though
it
either.
doesn't get rit of dysphoria. Also,
Fully.
your hand thing is in your own brain because they
Mm,
don't look like masculine or anything. You just
thank
all
you.
pat. I know women who have big hands, okay,
But
actually,
this
and
thing.
I actually was married to a woman who was 6 foot tall and biological female and big feet and a size like 12 and like I think people thought she was
Wow.
trans, but that being
Really?
yeah, totally. But
Love that.
so this is where we have this ideas as our own dysphoria. I don't have an Adam's apple. People know, my voice sounds like Mickey Mouse. My all these
No,
things
it
that you just
doesn't. It doesn't at
all these
all.
things that you pile on. But to me, those are worth that struggle I did as a child, as opposed to me not being sexually functioning, because I'm a huge
That's
advocate for
true.
sex
That's
and
true,
for
yeah.
sexual freedom, and I'm also a big advocate for pregnancy and having kids, and that is your own choice. So I am a parent, by the way. I have an 11-year-old child, as soon to be adopting another child. But that being said, I thank
Congratulations.
you, friend. But that being said, I don't think it's fair to even put that on a parent. And as a
Yeah,
parent, I would struggle hard
I would.
with
I
my
absolutely would.
child. I would
If they came out as trans, I completely
totally,
agree. Yeah.
totally.
Do you know what I
Also,
find? Go on, sorry.
I just want to say this last thing, and then the one thing I want to say is these kids are identifying as trans. They're not
Hmm.
saying I feel like a boy or I feel like a
I
girl like
actually
you and
am,
I did,
which is
and
very, very different.
very
Very, very
different.
different.
So
Yeah.
are
I
they
don't
just
think
thinking that?
I think the social media aspect doesn't help. I think
That's
having so
right.
much of it in their face all the time might
Yes.
lead them to it.
Yes.
But like I said earlier, I don't think a 10-year-old should be thrown on hormones. Absolutely not. Like
Yeah.
that
Thank you.
is
Thank
it's
you.
reckless. But I think there's a grey area somewhere in there,
Yes,
and I'm not the
there
one
is.
to explain it, and I can't explain it. I'm not a
Yeah.
scientist. I don't know all the data and the
Hmm.
details and everything. And like
Yeah.
you said, sexual function and not being able to get pregnant, like it's horrifying when you see these detransition stories and they can't have kids. Like I feel so much for them,
Oh my
and then
God.
detransition rates are going up. So
Up.
I know there's so much to take into consideration. But do you know what I love the most, right? When you see all these debates about this topic online, people scream and shout, and our opinions are different, but we
Yes.
can just communicate like adults. And I think that's what the
That's
world
right.
needs to see more. Like our opinions might be slightly different, but we just can have a conversation about it and understand where each other's coming from. That is a debate. But you see these debates where they're just everyone starts screaming. And
I
I'm like,
know.
no one's listening now.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for saying that. It's right. We disagree probably a little bit there, but at the same time, I think the ultimate thing is we have to care about these children. And of
Hmm.
course, there's going to be a one or two kids, I think, that are battling with their dysphoria. Me and you prove it. We were those kids, but we did live a little bit through a struggle and got to that next. And that's what I want people to see. You can get through that struggle. Now, if we can help kids not get have to deal with some of the struggle, I think that's very important. But problem for me is the detransitioner rate. The problem for
Yeah.
me is the majority of the kids who are transitioning are mostly females, okay, not
Yeah.
males. And if
I
that
wonder
says,
why. Why do you think that is?
oh, I could just because
Oh,
when you're a girl and you go through puberty, it is totally different than being a boy and going through
yeah.
puberty. You're growing breasts, you're getting your period. It is a mess. And all of a sudden, sexualization starts happening from the outside world. There's a
Hmm.
lot of trauma attached. I'm noticing because I'm watching and reading from these young detransitioners. A lot of them had trauma. Maybe it could be sexual trauma where
Yeah.
they didn't want to be seen as a girl anymore. And it's better to be a boy. I mean, there's layers
To
to,
change
and
their identity because they don't want to be
that's
that person
right.
that got hurt. Yeah,
That's
I get
right.
that.
So it's making it a difficult space to even have this conversation because already we're transitioning kids who should never have transitioned. And they're saying it. I wish I never cut my breasts off at
Yeah.
15. I wish I wouldn't have done this. I have now a mustache for the rest of my life. So now the people who hate us dangle that in front of the world and say, see, there's no such thing as trans people.
I
Because
know, and it's used against us. So that is,
that's right.
that's where I agree with you completely. Like, I think when people don't like trans people, they will use anything remotely negative, and
That's
they'll
right.
find the stories about these detransition kids, and they will use it against saying, "Well, no one's really
Yes.
trans," then, and that
Yes.
is obviously really damaging to the community. And then those kids' lives are not ruined forever, but they will have so many more hurdles to get through.
That's right.
So
It's
I
sad.
do I empathize with both sides. I'm on the fence. I'm
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
like I'm not-
Yeah.
I'm leaning more towards you,
Yeah.
but I can understand both sides of this debate.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And there are young people who have transitioned at an early age who live, I know them. I'm friends with
Yeah.
them. And they transitioned at 16 and they're now like 30 and they're
Kim
perfectly,
Petras, like,
there you go.
but
But
they don't always fit into that perfect alignment that they
there
have
you
genuine
go.
dysphoria. Yeah, so I
There,
agree. And
and I,
there's also the question of the ethics. Like, is a diagnosis for gender dysphoria, is it rigorous enough? Is it?
it's not.
In America, I believe it's a lot easier to transition, isn't it, than
Yeah,
it is here in the UK. It's a
it
lot
is.
harder to transition in the UK.
Yeah. Well, we need to get back to that kind of thing. Here, you can just say you're trans and go into a clinic and get testosterone. And these kids
Oh
are
my
hurting.
gosh.
It's sick. It's actually sick.
It's not like it is here at all, as far as I'm aware anyway. It took me like
Wow.
I got hormones fast and it took me about 8 months. And that's super fast. It was most
But
people a year to
still,
2 years.
I had to go through years of that. And again, I don't want to be like old Tramp. Oh, well, when I did it, it should have been.
No, but your experience is so important because it's led the way for everyone else that's coming after you. So
It's called
I
a
think
safe system.
yeah, it should be because you're literally altering. Like, I remember that I had this phone call and the doctor said, okay, so obviously you've got your hormones now. Just before you start, I want you to really think this is going to make you infertile. You
Yeah.
need to know that right now. You have to think about that because you can freeze,
Hmm.
but once you start this, after so many months, the chances of you ever having biological children is gone.
Mhm.
And it really was like a cold wake up call for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm really putting some strong stuff in my body to do this.
Yeah,
And I really like assessed myself and thought, is this something I need to do to be happy? And I was like, yeah, I had to do this. But it
absolutely.
was good that it put this like mirror in front of me and just sort of made me realize what I was doing to myself. I think so many people don't realize what
Mm-mm.
the hormones are doing to you, and it's worrying because they're a strong ass chemical going into your body.
Look at you. You could never
Yeah.
go back to being male. You look like a woman.
Thank you.
It's
Do you
just
know
not
what?
going to happen.
It's wild. Like I feel lucky in a lot of ways. With my transition, and I've had a lot of, like I said, a lot of support from like Liam with like having my surgeries and helping me finance
Hmm.
it effectively. But it's wild to think, like looking back, like when I see old pictures of myself, like some trans people can't stand it.
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, that was who I was. And
yeah,
I wasn't super happy as that person, but I can look back and be like, well, that person got me to where I am today. They got me strong enough and brave enough
excellent,
to do this. And I
excellent,
had so many great experiences as a man. I met Liam as a man. He fell in love with me. That's a
excellent.
whole other thing, I guess, for another conversation.
I'd love to know
And
about that.
but yeah, but I could never hate that person because I still am that person. I just think the outer
Thank you.
shell's changed a lot.
Thank you. That's such an important message that I think young people need to hear because they call it a dead name and they literally disconnect. I'm like, what are you talking about? That is literally you. You're just presenting as a different, happier person now. When you
Yeah.
cut off your past, you are asking for problems because it'll creep up
It
inside.
always will. It
Yep,
always will. And I think we need to, like, the trauma that everyone has trauma in life. Life's
that's right.
hard, isn't it? I
That's
think
right.
you have to deal with that trauma because transition isn't necessarily going to fix that trauma.
No.
And I needed to deal with my demons before I could transition. I think that's another reason why my
Excellent.
mum wanted me to wait. I had
Yeah.
these like issues when I was younger and I had to
Mhm.
deal with them and get through them and get
Yeah.
better. And then I could deal with the gender dysphoria and really like analyze that aspect of myself. But
Wow. Your
yeah,
mom
but like
sounds amazing. Your mom sounds so loving and beautiful and
she's
caring.
fab.
And you have a
Thank you.
good relationship with her today.
Yeah, she's like my best friend. I love her to bits.
Oh, I
She
love
very
it.
much keeps my feet on the ground though.
I
Like
love
I'll
it.
post a video and she'll be like, "I didn't like your lipstick in that video though, love." I'm like, "Thanks, mum. That's great." She's like, "Your hair looked a bit rubbish, didn't it?" In that one, I'm like, Thanks, Tracy. Thank you." She's called Tracy. I need to get her on my channel, but she's like, "No, no one wants to see me." I'm like,
Yeah, we
"People
do.
do."
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
do.
she was always great at being a good mum, like and loving and supportive, but also like waking me up when I needed to be
Yeah.
woken up because I said, "Mum, I'm trans," and then the next day I was going to go to school in a dress and makeup
Mhm.
and hair, and she didn't care what people thought about me or
No.
her, but she was worried for me that I was going to
Yeah.
get bullied and attacked. 'Cause I would have been,
Yeah.
and she was always very good at making me see the world, the real world, be in the real world, and not in this little bubble land that I live in. I used to live
Wow.
in, but yeah,
Well, I mean, that says everything about a parent. And also being a parent that's your job as a parent is to really keep your kid grounded in
protect
reality.
them as
Yeah, and
well.
don't feed them nonsense or,
Hmm.
really get them ready for the real world. And your mom did a great job with you. She really did because
Thank
I do
you.
see that heart of yours is really solid gold and you
Thank
care about
you.
people. You have
Oh,
compassion. It comes through even in your videos, everything. It comes through that you care. You're not coming off. Sometimes I come off real I can't help it. Maybe it's the
wait.
testosterone.
Trust me, I remember that. It made me a lot angrier. Saying that though, when I started estrogen, like the mood swings I had at some certain points, poor Liam had to deal with a lot. Bless him,
Yeah.
the emotional roller coaster I went through. But
How
yeah,
beautiful.
I am very lucky to have him. It's very rare, isn't it, when a trans person
Yes.
comes out to have the same partner stick around, and
Very.
very, very rare.
Yes.
I know I'm so lucky. He's great. He's a great guy.
It
He's in
says a
my
lot about
videos a lot.
him. It says a
It
lot about him.
it
You know
really
that?
does. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what? I told him I was trans. Well, I said to him, I've always had an issue with my gender. I've
Yeah.
always been unhappy. Like, I feel like I'm living life, but it's through like a blurred lens.
Yeah.
I'm not fully enjoying everything. I'm not like I can experience happiness, but I'm not happy.
Mhm.
And I said, I think I feel like I want to transition. And he sort of stood there for 5 seconds. And then he just looked at me and said, what do we need to do then? And I just thought, how is this man like
Yeah.
asked me to marry him? I couldn't
Wow.
understand like how someone could immediately be so like just with it straight away. And he was encouraging me, like, call the doctor, you need to speak to him, you need to see what we need to
Wow.
do. And every step of the way, when I had the terrible wigs, the 5 o'clock shadow, the ugly dresses, he's like, you look amazing, babe.
Oh,
Always
wow.
encouraging and supporting me. And he's great. I mean, sometimes I could like because he drives me crazy.
That's
But
normal. But
I know.
that being said, well, it just says, I'm telling you, it says a lot about you too, because you attracted this human being who loves you for who you are. It doesn't matter that you're trans or you're whatever. It has nothing to do with that. And that's what I keep telling people. It's about people. Your
Yeah.
attraction is towards people. Your attraction isn't, you could identify as gay, right? But you could, one day as a gay man, you could all of a sudden see a woman that you might want to be with. But we have this weird thing about having to
Boxes.
that's right.
Stay in the box.
That's
Yeah,
right. Stay in the
especially with
box.
sexuality. Like I think a
Yes.
lot of people struggle to understand our relationship, and I got so many comments earlier on, like you've trapped him, you've
Wow.
ruined his life. He's a gay man, he's missing out. And like the thing Liam always said, like, yes, part of it was hard because he thought he was going to spend the rest of his life with this
Yeah.
man that he loved,
Yeah.
and I changed all that, and I was almost asking him to change his life forever.
Yeah.
And for him to stick around shows it's a great testament to who he is and his character.
100%.
But he just didn't care, like, because he realized after a while he didn't mourn me, the old me, when the beard went, the wigs came, and I think it was a bit of a shock at first.
Mhm.
And he mourned the old boy. But
Mhm.
then he said he got someone new, the same person in here though. Like
Oh,
that's always been the same. I don't think I've ever changed. I'm just a lot happier now.
I agree. I agree. I don't think it, even though I don't know you before, I can, just doesn't change. This part can't change. What happens is it
No.
becomes a happy you instead of a sad you. And that's why people need to understand we're not going anywhere, people. We are here.
No.
Transsexual people exist. It's a real thing. What we want you to understand is what's happening in this space is not what we
Always
particularly
what we agree
are.
with.
And we
Yeah.
don't think it's okay. And we don't like this insanity of misogyny and nastiness. And that's why I think, again, I'm going to just keep repeating, that's why a voice like yours at this time, you couldn't have done your channel at a better time, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I just got so sick of seeing like the way that trans women are getting painted by trans women. That's the ironic thing is
Yeah.
that it's not
Yeah.
like it's. I mean, there is some people out there who aren't trans who say bad things about us, but
Of
it's a
course.
lot of the negativity is coming from these
Yes.
trans women online.
Yes.
And I just thought, I don't see myself like you. We're not the same. I don't
That's
have these
right.
values and thoughts. And I think when it starts to impact the women in my life, my mum, my sister, my best friends, when they're like, well, this is not okay. We don't agree with this. I'm like, okay, hang up. This is bad then, because it's not only affecting me now, it's affecting the women I love. And that's when I started to feel like I had to say something because
Yeah.
I just didn't want everyone to think that all trans people and non-binary, the whole groups were like, let's get rid of breastfeeding and make it inclusive, which completely eradicates a
Wow.
lot of women's identity. And it infuriated me so much
Yeah.
that it's to be politically correct, you are literally wiping away female identity, women's identity.
I know.
And you might be making one tiny group, 0.05% of the population, feel better. But the 49% that are women, I think a lot of them don't want these terminologies. They don't want to be referred to as a womb carrier. They're mothers. So it really gets me so angry.
I don't. And I'm
Honestly.
a man.
Honestly, it's wild to me. Like, I just feel like political correctness now, not just for trans, just for everyone. It's going
Totally.
so wild.
It's
And you
sick.
can't say anything anymore without offending someone.
That's
And
right.
it like I wore you just can't. You just can't please everyone, can you? That's the thing.
I mean, really, you have to laugh or we're going to be crying all day long.
Absolutely.
It's absurd.
Absolutely. And I just sometimes see like these, especially when it comes to like pronouns. Like I was watching an interview on a British like Good Morning show, and the person in it was non-binary, and
Yeah.
they referred to one of the other presenters, said, "Oh, what are your pronouns?" And the presenter was like, "Clearly a woman."
Yeah.
just a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we don't need to ask every person we meet
That's
their
right.
pronouns. It's unrealistic. That's not how
Yeah.
society is going to work.
Yeah.
So just if someone has they them pronouns, use them. Fair enough. Use the right terminology to make
That's
that
right.
individual feel comfortable. But we shouldn't be trying to impose that on everyone around
That's
us
right.
because that's not how the world works.
No, but that again, you make so many great points. We're 0.5% of the universe, and like everyone. But I realized why the pronoun thing came. It came when the no passing thing came, because you and
Yeah.
I don't ever have to tell our pronouns, but it's the
Yeah.
people who don't want to pass, and the people who have literally ruined the whole system are forcing us to play their little game. And that's why I said,
Mhm.
no, this is a game. I'm not playing. I do too much of an effort, to do this.
Infuriates. Someone asked me my
Yes.
pronouns once,
That's
not
right.
because they knew I was a trans woman, but they were trying to be politically correct. So should I use they or she? And I'm like, you should use she,
What?
please. Like
Thank
I
you.
didn't do all this transition, the painful, bloody surgeries. Painful, the 5 or 6 I've had so far, and to be asked if I am a
Wow.
she is wild
I
to
know.
me.
I know.
It to me, it's a little bit disrespectful as well. Like I found
Totally.
it a little bit disrespectful towards me. So I'm like, I'm trying to show you that I am a she.
Yes.
Please use that.
Yeah.
It's
Duh. It's so
wild, isn't it?
ridiculous.
Oh,
It's vile. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. We're playing into people's weird fetishes. We're bending over backwards. But the thing is, Alexis, is stuff like this won't stay forever. And I always say
you think?
you cannot build your house on a weak foundation. You can't. And so it's built on a weak foundation. When you start saying biology isn't real and that we're really women, we're not men, or I'm really a man and not a woman, when you start doing that, you think the rest of the world is going to play into that forever? No,
No,
they're
I think
not.
people are waking up now
They
and
are.
understanding, and there's you can have respect for trans people, but not agree with them or agree with
Of
certain.
course.
Like I think women especially have been so
Yes.
scared to speak up because they
Yes.
don't want to be deemed transphobic or
That's
a
right.
TERF,
That's
and
right.
there are some TERFs out there,
Of
obviously.
course.
I think
Of
if
course.
something's affecting you or upsetting you, you're allowed to speak up about it and voice
Yes.
your opinion. You don't
Yeah.
have to agree just because you're scared you're going to get deemed a transphobe.
But
I get called
since
transphobic all the time.
me too.
I'm like,
Join the club.
cool, cool, that's great, thank you.
Turf. I'm a turf. I'm
Yeah,
transphobe.
yeah,
Because I will not play into that nonsense, and I don't believe J.K. Rowling is a transphobe, and I have supported her from day one as a woman who's entitled to say what she needs to say. How dare you shut her voice down? And now here comes the backlash because she's not going to give up, and now she's going after us, and she won't even lay down. Now she's like, really?
She's riled up.
She's
She is
riled up.
riled up. There was a while where I was like struggling to understand why people were calling her a TERF. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Nope.
I
It's
don't
not.
agree with everything that she said, and
It's
I think
okay.
she's controversial, and she can be
Yeah.
she can push back, especially on trans women.
Yes.
So again,
Yes.
it's another one where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just said that or did that or put that out online. But it's who am I to judge? She's a woman who can say
But
whatever she
I don't know
wants.
how I've been following it since it started. And I'm going to tell
Mhm.
you, she was nice in the beginning. And all
She
she
was.
said was sex-based rights matter. I matter as a woman. You're not a woman. You're a trans woman. That's all she said. What is
Yeah,
transphobic about that? And I was like, you
nothing.
people are sick. So come on, man. When you keep getting punched in the face, there's going to be
You're
a
gonna
certain
fight
time
back.
where,
Yeah,
and now she's now pissed. And I'm going to say, I don't, of course, like some of the things she's saying, but I'm just going to let her go because they punched her in the face too long. And
they
she is
came for
like
her hard. They
hard,
did, and she's
hard.
fighting back. And what
That's
she's
right.
saying now, I don't agree with everything that she's
Doesn't
saying, but
matter. That's right.
I can't stop her. So
Nope.
she's gonna do it anyway.
There's that woman over there in the UK. She's a famous trans woman who's an instigator of hers, who just goes after her constantly.
What's her name?
What's her name?
India
It's not India, and then
something.
there's another one. There's
Yeah,
I forgot. Anyway, she just goes after JK, and so
all this time.
it's just like you see it. It's so nasty and wrong. It's like lay off JK. If you
But that
just
doesn't
lay off,
paint them in a good light, though. Again, like having like a screaming match, shouting and swearing.
there
It's
you
never.
go.
you're never going to win an argument like
Nope,
that. And when I see
never.
like these clips of like students like protesting, like, you will
Oh my
use the
God.
correct pronoun in my name. And I'm like, no one's going to respect you for that. That's not how you get respect as
Thank
in the
you.
real world.
Nope.
It'll never work, but
It's
people,
okay. Me and you are speaking up, and you're a beautiful, amazing human. And
thank
it
you.
come, that's how I believe in the universe, and I believe that the right way always comes to the surface. Okay, and as long as it's hard right now, but please don't ever stop, friend. And I'm gonna say to everybody out there, and please follow her. Please, let's
Oh,
push her up. No, I'm not
thank
kidding. We need
you.
to push you even higher, and the more subscribers she gets, the bigger her channel becomes and the bigger her voice becomes. It's how this channel thing works. And I know that the more you get, the more you're pushed up by YouTube. So together, we can help end a lot of this stuff, and we need to have voices like hers more than ever. And if you care about women, and you care about children, and you care about actual trans rights, then Alexis is really the person that we need to sort of give a bigger space to. You're growing, friend, and you're growing because
Thank
you're
you.
authentic and real and saying the things that need to be said. So
Thank you. I
thank you.
really appreciate coming from you, someone who I have a lot of respect and admire.
Thank you,
So
friend.
thank you so much for having me, Bog. It's been wild. I've loved it.
You're
I'm so
awesome.
sweat right now because I've been nervous the
Me
entire
too.
time.
I'm so
I'm
sweaty.
literally like
It's hot in LA. Let me tell you. I'm just like,
I've got all these lights hitting me. It's
I
warm.
know.
Well, it's warm for the UK.
But
It's
you
like
look
20
amazing, so it
degrees.
doesn't really matter. But that being said, thanks,
Thank you.
Alexis. I really do value your time here. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for subscribing, getting this out there, send it to people. This is how we're going to make a big difference in the world. And I appreciate you all, and I'll see you guys all on the live on Wednesday.